My fiancé said, "Don't cry, don't beg, act like an adult." While carrying 2 packed suitcases and driving away, I replied, "Understood." After learning she'd known for months she was gay, while everyone praised her bravery. Hours later, a stranger's message changed. "I'm Harlan Wexford, 29M, been out of the Army for 3 years now, working logistics for Pacific Maritime Shipping. Lost my parents and little sister Emma in a drunk driver crash when I was 19, right after I enlisted. The military kept me together through that nightmare, but when I got out, I was basically starting from zero. No family left. Most high school friends had moved on with their lives. I was drifting pretty hard until I met Dana Halstead, 28F, at a Veterans Day barbecue 7 years ago. Dana was everything I thought I needed. Smart, funny, had this way of making me feel like the most interesting person in the room. But more than that, she had something I'd lost: a real family. Her parents, Reese and Marjorie Halstead, owned a small accounting firm, lived in this perfect suburban house with a wraparound porch and a golden retriever named Murphy. They took one look at this lost kid with no family and basically adopted me. Sunday dinners became sacred. Reese would grill burgers while Marjorie fussed over whether I was eating enough. They'd ask about work, about my nightmares from deployment, about Dana and me. For the first time since I was 18, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Like I had people who gave a shit if I came home at night. Dana was upfront about being bisexual from our second date. "Just so you know," she said over coffee, "I've dated women before, and I might date them again if this doesn't work out. I believe in being honest." I respected that. Hell, I found it attractive. Here was someone who knew who she was and wasn't playing games about it. She chose me, and that felt like winning the lottery. We moved in together after 8 months. Shared a 1-bedroom apartment that was too small and too expensive, but we didn't care. Dana would curl up against my chest every night, talking about our future, kids someday, maybe a house near her parents, definitely a dog. I started planning my life around her, around us, around the family I thought we were building together. The ring took me 4 months to save for. Nothing crazy expensive, but it was perfect, a simple solitaire that caught the light just right. I'd been carrying it around for 3 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. That moment came last Thanksgiving at the Halstead house, after dinner when everyone was full and happy and the conversation was flowing easy. "Dana," I said, dropping to one knee in their living room while her whole family watched, "will you marry me?" The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. She was staring at me with this expression I couldn't read. Not joy, not excitement, something closer to panic. Her mom had her hands over her mouth, but her eyes looked worried. Her dad was smiling, but it was the kind of smile you give when you're trying to hold things together. "Yes," Dana finally said, but she said it like she was answering a math question, not accepting a proposal. "Yes, of course." Everyone cheered, her mom cried. Her dad shook my hand and called me son. But that hesitation, that split second where I saw something like fear cross her face, it stuck with me. When I asked her about it later, she laughed it off. "I was just shocked, Harlan. Every girl dreams about that moment, and when it actually happens, your brain kind of short-circuits." I bought that explanation because I wanted to. Because the alternative, that the woman I'd built my entire life around didn't actually want to marry me, was too devastating to consider. We set the date for next spring. Started looking at venues, talking about guest lists. I was happier than I'd been since before my family died. Everything was falling into place. That was 3 months ago. 2 weeks ago, I came home from a brutal day at work. We'd had a shipping container go missing and I'd spent 12 hours tracking it down, and found Dana standing by the front door with 2 suitcases packed. Not half-packed, not "I'm going to visit my sister for the weekend" packed. Fully, completely, "I'm leaving and not coming back" packed. She was still in her scrubs from the hospital where she works as a nurse, but she'd obviously been home for a while. The suitcases were neat, organized. She'd been planning this. "Harlan," she said, and her voice was steadier than I'd ever heard it, "we need to talk. Sit down." My stomach dropped. I'd heard that tone before, from commanding officers delivering bad news, from doctors explaining why there was nothing more they could do. This wasn't a conversation. This was an announcement. "What's going on?" I asked, but I remained standing. Some survival instinct kicked in, telling me I needed to be ready to move, to fight, to do something. "I need to tell you something I should have told you a long time ago," she continued, looking me straight in the eye without flinching. "I'm not bisexual. I'm a lesbian. I've known for months now, maybe longer, and I can't keep living this lie." The words hit me like physical blows. I actually took a step backward, my brain scrambling to process what she'd just said. "What do you mean you've known for months?" I managed. "Dana, we just got engaged 3 months ago. We've been planning a wedding. You said yes when I proposed." "I said yes because I thought I could make it work," she replied, her voice never wavering. "I thought if I tried hard enough, if I loved you enough as a person, the physical part would follow. But it's not fair to either of us for me to keep pretending." I started asking questions then, rapid fire, desperate. When did she know? Had she been seeing someone else? Could we go to counseling? Could we work through this? What about our plans, our life together, the family we'd talked about building? She held up a hand to stop me, and the gesture was so dismissive, so final, that it felt like a slap. "Harlan, listen to me," she said, and now her voice carried an edge I'd never heard before. "Don't cry, don't beg, don't scream. Act like an adult. This is who I am, and nothing is going to change that. I need you to respect my decision and let me go." The casual cruelty of it knocked the wind out of me. 7 years together, and this is how it ended? With her telling me not to cry? Not to beg? Like my pain was an inconvenience she didn't want to deal with. "Dana, please," I started, and I could hear my voice breaking. "Can we at least talk about this? 7 years doesn't just disappear because—" "It does," she cut me off. "It absolutely does. I'm done talking, Harlan. I'm done pretending. I'm done with this relationship. I've already moved my important stuff out. These are just the last few things." She picked up her suitcases and headed for the door. I followed her, still trying to understand, still believing somehow that this was a nightmare I'd wake up from. "What about your parents?" I called after her as she loaded her car. "What about Sunday dinners? What about Murphy?" She paused for just a second at her car door. For a moment, I thought I saw the Dana I'd fallen in love with. The one who used to worry about whether I'd eaten lunch, who would stay up when my PTSD nightmares got bad. But when she turned around, her face was stone cold. "My parents will understand. They want me to be happy, and this is what makes me happy. As for Murphy," she shrugged, "he's not your dog, Harlan. None of this was ever really yours." She got in her car and drove away without looking back. I stood in our apartment doorway watching her taillights disappear, still wearing my work clothes, still holding my phone like I was going to call someone. But there was no one to call. The only family I had was hers, and she'd just taken them with her. That was 2 weeks ago. I've barely slept since, can't eat more than a few bites before my stomach rebels. My supervisor at work sent me home early twice last week because I was making mistakes, dangerous ones. When you're coordinating shipping schedules for containers worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can't afford to have your head somewhere else. Last Friday, my coworker Jake found me passed out in the warehouse. Dehydration and exhaustion, the ER doctor said. They kept me overnight, pumped me full of IV fluids, and watched my vitals while I stared at the ceiling. The nurse kept asking if there was someone they could call, someone who should know I was there. "No," I kept telling her. "There's nobody." That's when it really hit me. I'm 29 years old, and I have absolutely no one, no family, no real friends outside of work, no support system that doesn't revolve around the woman who just erased 7 years of my life like they never happened. Everyone keeps telling me I should be happy for her. She found herself, they say. She's living her truth. My neighbor Mrs. Chen, who's always liked Dana, stopped me in the hallway yesterday to say how brave Dana was for coming out. How proud I must be of her courage. I just nodded and went inside. What was I supposed to say? That my brave ex-fiancée didn't have the decency to have this conversation with me before getting engaged. That her truth apparently included lying to my face for months while I planned a future that was never real. I'm not angry about her being gay. I can't help who I am, and neither can she. What I can't understand is the cruelty of it. The way she looked at me like I was a stranger she was tired of dealing with. The way she told me not to cry like my heartbreak was annoying her. 7 years. We talked about kids. We picked out paint colors for a house we'd never buy. We had inside jokes and shared memories and a dog we both loved. I held her hair back when she was sick, drove her to every family gathering, learned to make her grandmother's soup recipe because it made her smile, and she ended all of it with the emotional depth of canceling a gym membership. I keep replaying that proposal scene in my head, looking for signs I missed. That hesitation, her parents' forced smiles. They all knew something I didn't. How long had they been watching me plan a wedding to someone who was counting down the days until she could escape? The worst part isn't even the breakup. It's the realization that I built my entire adult life around people who were just tolerating me. I thought I'd found my family again after losing everything at 19. Turns out I was just a temporary guest who overstayed his welcome. Update 1. So it's been 3 months since Dana walked out. 3 fucking months of complete radio silence from every single person in our friend group. 8 years of Sunday dinners with her parents, being invited to everything, treating their friends like my own family. And now nothing. Not one person reached out to ask if I was okay. Not one. I started thinking maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was some toxic asshole who drove away the love of my life and didn't even realize it. The thoughts got really dark, guys. Like, scary dark. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was planning some permanent solutions to temporary problems. Then last Tuesday, I'm scrolling Reddit at 3 a.m. because sleep is apparently optional now, and I see this video that's blowing up. Some TikTok girl talking about when your ex comes out but makes you the villain. The comments were wild, hundreds of people sharing similar stories. So I made a throwaway account and posted a quick summary of what happened to me. It went viral. Like 2.4 million views in 48 hours viral. Started getting messages from people who knew me in real life. That's when shit got interesting. Paul Merritt, who I served with overseas and stayed close with after, sent me a text I'll never forget. "Bro, we all thought you beat her and threatened her when she tried to leave. That's why nobody reached out." I nearly dropped my phone. Beat her? I've never raised my hand to anyone outside of combat. I asked him where the hell he got that idea. Dana told Sarah. Sarah told Mike's girlfriend, and it spread through the whole group. She said you went into a rage when she tried to break up with you, threw things, said you'd ruin her life if she left. None of that happened. Not even close. I was devastated, sure. I cried. I begged her to talk to me. But violent, threatening, never. Paul felt sick when he realized what had happened. He reached out to our whole friend group and forced Dana to have a group video call, put her on the spot about the stories she'd been spreading. She broke down and admitted she made it all up, said she was scared people would blame her for wasting 7 years of my life, so she needed to make me look like the bad guy. She was protecting her image as the brave woman who found herself by turning me into an abusive monster. Our friends were horrified. Some started reaching out to apologize, but honestly, too little, too late. They were ready to believe I was some woman-beating psycho without even asking for my side of the story. But here's where it gets really fucked up. Then I got a message from someone I never expected, Dana's new girlfriend. Update 2. Okay, I need to share this while it's still fresh in my mind because what just happened is some next-level crazy shit. The message was from Maren Sloan, 27F. She introduced herself as Dana's girlfriend and said she needed to apologize to me. My first instinct was to delete it. Last thing I needed was Dana's new girl rubbing salt in the wound. But something about the tone made me read it. "Harlan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about you until yesterday. Dana told me her ex was just a roommate who moved out when she came out. I've been with her for 4 months, and she never mentioned a 7-year relationship or an engagement. When I saw your story online and realized who you were, I felt sick." 4 months. They'd been together for 4 months, which means it started right around when Dana left me. But here's the kicker. Maren had no idea I existed as anything more than a roommate. Dana had completely erased 7 years of our life together. Maren said she confronted Dana about it, and Dana broke down crying, admitting everything, the lies about me being abusive, hiding the real nature of our relationship, making me sound like some obsessive roommate instead of her fiancé. I would never have gotten involved with someone who treated their ex this way, Marin wrote. I'm questioning everything about her now. That's when I decided to stop playing defense. I created a group chat with Dana, Marin, and every single person in our friend group who had ghosted me. No preamble, no emotion, just laid out the facts. For 3 months, you all believed I was an abuser without asking for proof or my side of the story. You were ready to erase 7 years of friendship based on rumors. Dana has admitted she fabricated these stories to protect her image while destroying mine. I've spent 3 months questioning my sanity, fighting suicidal thoughts, and rebuilding my life from nothing because the people I considered family chose comfort over truth. I'm considering a defamation lawsuit, and I want you all to understand that your silence made you complicit in psychological abuse. None of you will ever hear from me again. Then I blocked every single one of them. Dana, her parents, the whole group. Clean slate. Except it wasn't over. Started getting calls from random numbers, texts from accounts I didn't recognize. Dana's family and friends trying to reach me, asking me not to sue, saying she's going through a hard time and needs support, not legal troubles. I changed my number. Started looking for a new place to live. My therapist says staying in the same environment where all this trauma happened isn't healthy anyway. It's been 6 weeks since I nuked that group chat. Radio silence, just how I wanted it. Started therapy twice a week, hit the gym religiously, even adopted a dog from the shelter, a German Shepherd mix named Bear who doesn't give a shit about my drama, just wants his walks and treats. For the first time in months, I was starting to feel human again. 6 months after Dana walked out, I thought I was finally healing. Then I ran into someone at a coffee shop who changed everything. Final update, the person at the coffee shop was Marin. I was grabbing my usual Tuesday morning coffee before work when I heard someone say my name. Turned around and there she was, looking nervous as hell but walking over anyway. I'm sorry to bother you, she said. I know you probably don't want to see anyone connected to this mess, but I've been hoping I'd run into you. We ended up talking for 2 hours. She'd broken up with Dana 3 weeks after our group chat incident. Said she couldn't get past the lying and the character assassination. But more than that, she couldn't respect someone who would destroy another person's reputation to protect their own. I keep thinking about what you said about suicidal thoughts, she told me. I realized that Dana knew exactly what she was doing when she spread those stories. She knew you'd lost your family, that our friend group was all you had left. She didn't just break up with you. She systematically isolated you from everyone who might have supported you through it. That hit me harder than I expected. I hadn't put it together quite that clearly, but Marin was right. Dana didn't just want to leave. She wanted to make sure I had nothing left to stand on when she did. We exchanged numbers, not for anything romantic, just as two people who'd been through the same psychological warfare and came out the other side. Sometimes you need someone who understands the specific brand of crazy you've survived. That conversation happened 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, I got news that put everything in perspective. I went in for a physical, first one in 3 years, part of my whole taking care of myself thing, and the blood work came back with some concerns. More tests, scans, consultations. Long story short, early stage lymphoma. Highly treatable, good prognosis, but still the C word. My first thought wasn't about treatment or survival odds. It was relief. Like finally, a way out that wouldn't be my fault. I called my therapist and told her I was thinking about skipping treatment. Just let it run its course. She was quiet for a long time, then said something that stopped me cold. Harlan, what you're describing isn't accepting death. It's suicidal ideation wearing a medical disguise. She was right. I wasn't ready to die because of cancer. I was ready to die because Dana and everyone else had convinced me I wasn't worth fighting for. So I'm fighting. Started chemo last week. It sucks, but not as much as letting them win by default. I've written letters to the people who matter, basically my therapist and Bear's vet in case something happens to me. Made out a will. Put together a bucket list of things I want to do during treatment. But for the first time in 8.5 months, I'm making choices based on what I want, not what other people expect from me or what would be easier for them. Marin texts me updates on her life sometimes. New job, new apartment, dating someone who doesn't make her question reality. She said something last week that stuck with me. The best revenge isn't success or happiness. It's becoming the kind of person who wouldn't waste 7 years on someone like Dana in the first place. I don't know if I'll beat this thing. Cancer doesn't give guarantees, even the treatable kind. But I know I'm not giving up because someone else decided I wasn't worth keeping around. That's the difference between choosing to live and just not dying. One's active, one's passive. I spent too many years being passive. Not anymore.